Yep. And we are live. So, welcome to the fifth webinar of SEMrush India series. I am your host, Parth Suba, hosting from the western part of India. So, where are you guys joining from? Do comment down below and let us know. So, today we are on SEMrush webinar, and if you guys do not know what SEMrush is, there might be a couple of guys who are joining in new. So SEMrush is one of the all-in-one digital marketing toolkit. There are agencies, there are SMEs using SEMrush day in and day out for their marketing efforts. So we are live on our fifth webinar, and I'm really excited to host the guest of the day. Uh, he has been one of my kind mentors. It's been long. We have been knowing each other. So welcome Boni Satani. Welcome Boni Bhai to SEMrush India webinar.
Thank you so much, Parth. It's a pleasure to join you.
Thank you. Thank you. So SEMrush, this particular is a fifth webinar. Like the previous one was one from Krishna Shekhar, and we discussed about keywords. And this is particularly about links and editorial links. So before we start, I'll give a very short introduction of mine. And I host SEO Twitter chat every Monday. I lead the SEO team at InVideo. It's a Mumbai-based startup. It's in SaaS space. And now I would like you to specifically introduce Boni Satani. He is the co-founder of Zestart Technology. He has more than 8 years of experience in SEO. He's a T-shaped marketer, and he is the best inbound marketing guy I know. And the link building stuff is just out of the box. So a warm welcome, Boni Bhai, once again, and over to you for a brief introduction.
Thank you so much, Parth, for the kind introduction. And once again, thank you so much, Parth, and the entire SEMrush team for giving me this opportunity. And I hope I bring value for all the audience who are joining us live and everyone who will be watching this after this session. So should I start the session, Parth?
Yes, we can start, but I would like to add a couple of hygiene items. Like if you guys have joined from your mobile devices, just make sure if you have your desktop machines or laptops nearby, you can log on to that. So you have a bigger screen. You can watch the webinar, you can take notes, and make sure you have everything with you. Also, while we start, we have this particular deck uploaded. So thanks to Boni Bhai, he has already uploaded it on SlideShare. So you can open it side by side and you can watch and you can learn. So don't forget to take notes and watch on a bigger screen. So here we go. Let's get started.
Awesome. Okay. So let me share my screen. Let me know once you guys can see it.
Sure. And we have a couple of guys joining in already. Ashwin, Amit, Vidit, Krishna, Rahman.
Awesome.
Yes, awesome guys. So without wasting much time, we'll get started with the session.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Thank you guys for joining today. As you already know, the session is on how to earn editorial links from websites like Amazon.com in 30 days. One of my favorite topic to talk. And I hope it becomes also one of your favorite technique and the method after this session. Commerce agency. I love to call myself as a T-shaped marketer because I have a huge focus on SEO and link building and have an understanding of the rest of the facets of digital marketing. I had knowledge graph, so I'm sort of proud of that. And I was also recognized as one of the top digital PR and link building expert by Digital Olympias. Yeah. Just for the guys who are on mobile and not on a big screen, we have already uploaded the deck and this particular Bitly link, so you can watch it directly. Look at the deck while we talk. Okay, so let's talk about today's agenda. So we have 5 things to cover, pretty specific and direct. The first is I want to show you the exact examples and the results that we have earned through this technique, which is HARO. After gaining your trust that this activity is wonderful and you guys can also earn such links, we're going to move on to understanding what is HARO and its benefits. The section 3 will talk about how to get started with HARO. So there are basically 3 steps. The fourth will talk about reporting and tracking templates. So if you're working for clients or if you're doing for your own purpose, it's important that you measure your activities and then improvise it, right? So we'll talk about that in the fourth section. The fifth section is setting the right expectations. So I'm not going to say that everything is wonderful, you can hit the star and stuff like that, but there are certain things that you also need to keep in mind while performing these activities. And what are those things and what exactly kind of links you can expect after working for on it, say 1 month or certain period of time. So I'm going to tell you exactly this is what you're going to get while doing this whole activity. So let's get that started with the first section, which is the results and examples of the links that we have on. So these are real screenshots of the real clients. So this is a link that we got for one of our client, which is in the CPA space, an accountant in USA. And their quote and the website, the client was featured on the MSN businessinsider.in. And his quote was actually the first quote in the whole entire article. So amazing link and amazing placement for that particular client. After this whole single featured, he actually included the featured section on his website. So what was the query? Like, we got this link, but then what was that query about? We're going to talk about this query a lot in the next sections, but like, this was a query that the journalist had asked, and it was about things you didn't know your CPA could do for you. And we responded to this query. So this is the exact screenshot of the template or the pitch that we sent it to them, which got selected. Right? So no rocket science, a simple reply to the journalist, and it got selected. Now, not only that article got syndicated, I mean, it was published in Business Insider, but it was also syndicated on MSN.com. So, and then not only MSN.com, but there are the 3 websites where we got those amazing links. Here's a second example, another client, it's Rings End. And again, the quote, or we can say the pitch, was published on a website, Best Life Online. It's DR76, traffic 1.8 million. And this was the query, right? So basically, they were looking for home experts to provide insights into which home improvement projects people can complete in an hour and less. That's it. So very specific query, and journalist was asking. And we responded to this specific query with just 4 options. Like, these are the 4 things that you can complete in an hour or less. And it got selected. Now, not only that pitch got selected and published on Best Life Online, but that article got syndicated on Yahoo. Right. So the amazing thing of this activity is, and the best thing of high DR websites is that they publish one article on one website, but somewhere they get syndicated on a couple of other websites as well. Of course, the link that we got from Yahoo was a no-follow link, so it didn't count it on the actual live link or the links that we earned as a do-follow thing. But the mention was good enough for the client to get featured here as well. But the link that we got here was a do-follow link. Here is a third example. This is for our own website, like where my own quote was published on CMS Wire website. And again, the query was very simple, like how NLP can help with SEO. And this was the exact answer that we responded to the journalist, and which got selected. So using this approach, identifying the right HARO queries and responding them, like doing the pitches, has landed us links on these wonderful websites. The best part about this activity is these are all free links, editorial links right in the middle of the content, right? Which is very hard to get at this point of time through, we talk about the other outreaching activities like Skyscraper, or even let's say resource page link building, or guest posting, stuff like that. So this actually stands out in terms of activities and the kind of links that you get. So that completes my first section, which is the examples of links that we have on. Let's move on to the next section, which is what is HARO and benefits. So now that I've got some of your your interest in this whole activity, let's understand the basics of it. So what is
So,
HARO? Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. Like, I'm really curious to know after this first step, like, how many HARO queries did you or your team had answered before getting these number of
Yeah,
replies
fantastic
and
question.
like.
I love this question. So the thing is, so I'm also going to talk this about in this setting the right expectation, which is section 4. But I'll tell you, and this is our own, the thing that we've done over a lot of years. So we know where we are getting more responses and the conversion rates. So what we have found is for the clients which are in the home improvement space, the conversion rate is for us, it has been almost 40%. So if we have responded to 10 pitches, we have got
Mhm.
anywhere near to 4 links acceptations, precisely for home improvement niche. But if you talk about an industry, say SEO, or any technology related industry, the conversion rates are pretty down, something around like 10% to 20%. So if we do 10 pitches, you can expect anywhere between 1 to 2 links going live. So it does depend on industry. Specifically for these clients, I can say that maybe you would have responded to max 10 queries for each of these clients, for CPA, for even Ringsend and Zestart. So Zestart, we would have responded on higher number of queries, but yeah.
Got it. Got it. Fantastic. Let's move
Yeah.
forward. Yeah. I think so. You'll have to share your screen again.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's move on to the next section, which is understanding this activity. So what is HARO? HARO is basically an acronym of Help a Reporter Out. So we're going to help reporters. It's a free platform, or you can say a service, which is used primarily by journalists who need expert codes. So we need to understand that journalists are not always subject matter experts. They are writing for multiple publications, and they are given assignments or maybe say a lot of different topics. And sometimes they don't know certain topics, or sometimes they need quotes to strengthen their opinion of certain thing or to strengthen their article. So like we are seeing a lot of like expert roundups, so that the article feels like the expert guys have contributed. Similarly, they have expert quotes so that they strengthen their full article and improve the authenticity of the article. So that's why journalists use these platforms to get expert quotes or specific questions, specific answers of their questions when they're writing about uh, a particular article. The outlets that are using HARO is that you can already see a pretty amazing set of journalists who are using this particular platform. So how it works on a very high level. So four things that works in the background of HARO. First is the journalist who is writing a specific set of article. They will create a query in HARO. So they call it a query. Now that query is then sent to all the sources slash experts. So everyone who has signed up as a source. So let's say you want to get a mention for yourself. So you're going to be a source, who is going to provide a code to the journalist. So that query is being sent to all the sources slash experts, and then the sources will respond to that particular query. The journalist will review the pitch that we guys have sent, and if they like it, they're going to publish the article along with your quote and the backlink. So, on a very high level, this is how it works. What are the benefits? You may already noticed it now, but one of the amazing benefit is you get high quality backlinks and mentions for free. Not only that, it helps you establish yourself as a thought leader. So uh, technically, if you get like 3 or 4 such mentions, either you or your client will start having that featured section, right? So that's the indirect benefit of this activity. The third amazing one, which I don't see a lot of people using it, but it's superb, is that you get a chance to connect with journalists and then you can nurture the relationship. It is very difficult to directly build relationship with journalists. Here, you're actually helping them with their requirement, and then over a period of time, if you keep building relationship with them, what will happen is they're going to reach out to you first instead of using such platforms, right? So that's how you can nurture the relationship with journalists. right?
Fantastic.
Uh,
Um,
yeah,
sorry to interrupt. I had a very quick question. Like,
sure.
on a personal level, if we use this hero thing, and
Yeah,
people are like very curious to get their own social media profiles verified, and to get these social media profiles verified, like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, we need like news links, like we need
right.
10, 20, 30. So how about like on a personal level, answering these hero queries and getting 10, 15 links from these good websites, and then applying for a Twitter verification or maybe a Facebook verification?
Right. So yeah, I mean that's a fantastic idea. I also didn't thought about this. So uh, yeah, for sure, media mentions is something that you're gonna use this everywhere technically. So
Yeah,
this is your social proof that you are an
yeah.
expert or something like that. So yeah,
There are
absolutely,
multiple avenues we can explore. Yeah, yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So
Okay.
continuing with the benefits. So we discussed the three benefits, but I just don't want to say those benefits. I want to show you the data as well. So we analyzed 2,500 HARO queries. So there is a blog post that we already did. It's a researched article. And when we analyzed those 2,500 HARO queries, we realized that 57% of them had the traffic of 10,000 plus organic traffic, right? So 57% of the websites or the queries that journalists for this they pitch for, they have a pretty nice traffic. Same goes for the published queries. So there's a difference between the number of queries that come in and number of queries pitches that gets published, right? So, but then the pitches that gets published, 89% of the published queries had a DR of 50. This is amazing, right? So uh, if at all your pitch is published, there is a higher chance that it's going to publish on DR 50. So that's a huge upside. So so those are the quick benefits on HARO in general. So now that we understood what it is, let's get into how to get started with using HARO. So on a very high level, 3 steps. First is you're going to sign up for HARO. Then the step 2 is you're going to monitor the queries, and the third is writing the perfect pitch, which is the main core essence of this activity. So signing for HARO, pretty straightforward. You just go to this website, helperreporter.com. You can see two options. I'm a journalist, I'm a source. For us who wants to get media mentions, you got to select I am a source. Uh, so for someone, they can also be I am a journalist as well. So another use case of this platform is if you say you want to write an article on say 20 plus SEO experts saying me about 2022 SEO trends, something, you can become a journalist and then you can send that query to everyone. So it will help you create an expert roundup sort of an article. But for us at this point of time, we are talking about I am becoming a source. When you click on it, you'll have this sign up form, a pretty straightforward sign up form. You just have to fill it. Once you fill it, an automatically verification email is being sent on your email account. You just got to click on that verification link, and then it will land onto you to this particular page. So in this page, of course, you would find a lot of other things on the page, but the main part of that page is HARO preferences. So what is this? It's important to understand this. So HARO has journalists from various backgrounds, right? So someone is a business and finance writer, someone is a lifestyle writer, someone is a healthcare writer, stuff like that. And the source himself also has a definite background, right? So let's say you are someone who is an expert in health, that's your main core expertise, then you are interested only in getting queries around that niche. You don't want all the queries like business and finance because that's not your expertise. So the HARO preference basically allows you to choose the kind of queries that you want to receive. So you have this category. So these are predefined. That's it. For agencies like digital marketing agencies, I would recommend them selecting the master HARO. So the master HARO is basically gives you the summary of all the queries that HARO has. So if you're just starting out anyway, you should select master HARO. But then over a period of time, if you just want to narrow it down to just one niche, this is the way you do it. So that's the step one, easy. setting up the initial account. The next step is monitoring the queries. Now, this is more important than step one. So you get like 3 emails every day, Monday to Friday. These timings are fixed, like 5:30 a.m. EST, 12:35 p.m. EST, and 5:35 p.m. EST. It's a definite thing that you get. And the email subject lines look like this. So since they have 3 emails, they mention morning edition, afternoon edition, and evening edition. So this is precisely how you get it. And when you open the email, this is what you see. There will be a short introduction up front, initial, and then the list of queries. So when you click on one single query, something that we saw in the initial section 1, this is how that query looks like. So let us understand these queries. What are the elements of these queries and what things you need to keep in mind? So if you look at the main title, it is a summary like how to protect against ransomware. What is your top tip? So it's very clear that the journalist is asking for some tips, and it is precisely targeted at some cybersecurity or IT tech consultant guy. The name of publication is clear, Digital Guardian. The name of the journalist is also clear, Angela. Then you see email, which is this. So what is this email? So you got to respond to this HARO query using only this email. So let's say you have written a pitch. You'll compose an email in your Gmail and send it to this query. So this is very important when you send it. And there is a deadline also mentioned for this query, which is 7 p.m. EST, 13 March. So usually you get a deadline of say 1 or 2 days max. So one of the thing of HARO is that you got to be someone who can act fast and respond to the clients the journalist on the same day or the next day, because anyway journalists have this pressure of publishing contents, the articles AAC, right? So you got to keep mindful of this deadline. If you respond to the pitches on these email ID after the deadline, HARO platform is not going to send it, so they'll let you know that the query has expired. But if you are pretty confident that your pitch is pretty nice and it should at least get across the journalist, then you just have to identify the email ID of that particular journalist through the alternate sources using a couple of tools, and then just pitch it to them directly that, hey, no, I missed the deadline, but I think it's still useful for you, something like that. And so those are the small nitty-gritties. Then let's look at the query and the requirements. So almost everything in this whole query is important to look at. So when we look at query, again, it's the same repetition of the title, like how to protect against ransomware and what is the top tip. And then the requirement. To participate, to respond with a full answer. Overly self-promotional answers will be ignored. Use a headshot, a Twitter link, and then all the things that you need to keep in mind. So the important thing while looking at query and requirement is that you should be qualified for this pitch query to be responded, right? So if you respond to a query where your designation doesn't quite match with the the query that has been asked, then there is a very high chance that it will not be accepted, since journalists are looking for real experts and people who knows what they're talking about. So for that, you got to only respond to the pitches that make sense to you and that you can add value and answer. So you'll always find a lot of HARO queries, but then you got to select and see, okay, is this something that I can answer the best? And that's how you do it. So that's there. One little hack is you got to be organized when you do HARO, because HARO sends you basically 3 emails every day, right? So in just a week, you will have like 21 emails in your inbox sitting. So I recommend using filters so that whenever a HARO email comes in, it skips your inbox, but it applies to a label called HARO. So you just have to, every day you just have to go to your HARO label and then see what are those new queries, and that's it. So that don't sit on your inbox.
That's a fantastic addition. Like people subscribing to HARO, but can't manage the number of emails getting inside. Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes
it,
more
it
sense.
gets it gets super loaded. I mean, I see people getting motivated to start using it, and then they don't use it. Then it sits on their inbox, and then eventually it either gets deleted like manually. So alternately, you can just do this. Plus, when you have this label, it
Yeah.
helps you to quickly search some things.
Yeah. Also, we have like a couple of questions being asked from Jatin, Zishan. So, guys, we'll take all of the questions. We are still 10-15 minutes away from
Yep.
finishing this particular presentation. Once we are done, we'll make sure we'll answer each and every question. So, stay tuned.
Yep. So we completed step 2, which is so now at this particular point you have an HARO account, you are receiving the HARO queries, and yes, by monitoring the queries you identified 3 HARO queries that you think can respond to. Right. So now the step is how to respond to these queries. So I do have a template as well, but on a very high level, get to the point. That's it. Uh, so we have a habit of writing a lot, uh, and talking. When we respond to certain things, we mention a lot of things. So we don't have to mention a lot of things. If you look at the examples that we shared in the initial first section, all the pitches were very direct. So if they said like I want tips, like here are your 3 tips and I'm done. That's it. No anything else on top or anything at the bottom to flatter the journalist about yourself or something like that. Of course, a small intro is good, but get to the point. That's it. If they're looking for something, just give it away in the first few paragraphs and you're done. The reason is, on an average, they may be getting like 100 plus pitches. So they're just looking for the right quote which is valuable for them. So if you want to make their life easy, you got to give it to them directly. If they like it, they will take it. If they don't like it, they'll just move on to the next email. Right? So get to the point. Next is add value by sharing personal experiences, unique examples. So now this is not like you can't do this for almost all the queries. I am with you, but there are certain queries where you can definitely share your personal experience. Like you're responding to any of the SEO related queries where you have observed certain things. You can talk about your personal experiences and a unique example if you can share a decline. And so doing this will make you stand out from the rest of the pitches. Right. So that's something that you need to keep in mind. Third thing is responding fast. As I said, it's completely like they're on a deadline and they are immediately looking for wonderful quotes that they can put it into their article. So respond fast. Also, if you respond, say late, like maybe on the second day, ending of the second day. So there are a little cliche in terms. One thing is either you respond in the initial few hours because then it sits right on top of the email of the journalist, because the moment they put a query, then when they start receiving the pitches, you will be on the top, or you respond either at the end of the deadline, because again then your email sits on the top, right? When you respond to the pitches in the middle, we are not sure. But frankly speaking, on a personal level, we haven't seen any of those huge correlations, like responding pretty early, responding pretty late, something like that. That's something they were still figuring out. But for us, it has worked any time of within the deadline. So, but if you respond fast, you have a higher chance to get more visibility in terms of the journalists. That's the third tip.
And we don't get to play around with the subject lines, right? If I'm not wrong.
No, we do get, and that's one of the hack.
Okay. Okay.
So
Cool.
basically, you're composing an email from your email account, correct? And you're just
Okay.
sending the query using that email account, that email that they provided. So you can put the subject, which is very catchy. So one of the ways when if we talk about in general PR, we usually talk about writing interesting subject lines so that you get the journalist to open your email, right? The same logic applies
Fantastic.
here, that if you want to get your pitch open,
Yeah.
you can make an effort in improvising the subject line. Having said that, look, we've been doing this for almost like 4 years. So in initial 2 years, we were not playing around with the subject lines. We were just using the subject line as the query itself. So it was like RE and the query that the journalist had put. So we were doing that, and that also worked for us. So uh, it's definitely a step for optimization. But if you don't want to do it, it's still okay. But yeah, it's recommended that you do now in general. And
So, yeah, sorry.
sure. And so the fourth one is this: avoiding simple mistakes. So you're responding to a journalist, and the last thing you want is a grammar mistake. Uh, you don't want to miss the deadline. You don't want to attach anything. Everything that you want to put it can be a hyperlink, either to a Dropbox or Google Drive. And do not copy paste the answer from somewhere. Like journalists, look, if journalists wanted something from already which is there on Google, they won't reach out to us. They need some additional values and quotes. So yeah, just try to be unique, and that should work for you. So here's the exact pitch, other template that I can say we use overall when we respond to the journal. So as I said, subject line that we use is either the query name itself to make it relevant or some actionable tip. So if we think that we should add this, it's a unique subject line that should be highlighted. So we use that thing in the subject line. And then pretty straightforward, like if they are asking for tips, tip 1 to 3. If they're looking for some thoughts, then just 1 to 3 paragraphs, that's it. And then hope this helps. Feel free to reach out to me for more information. And then the designation part is important. So you got to have your name mentioned, your designation mentioned, your website URL which you want to get linked, your social media URL for the social proof that the guy who's responding has an authentic social media profile. We also do a variation in this. Sometimes either the beginning, so like after writing hi, the name of the journalist, we give a short introduction. We're like, hi, my name is this, and I have like 9+ years or 8+ years experience in SEO, and here's my pitch. So just to add an additional social proof, but we have again done both the things with that introduction line and without. And for us, we haven't seen a huge difference. So
Okay,
we do it and we change it based on what you think is right at that particular point of time while responding to the pitch.
got it. So, does it matter like we mentioned the testimonial of previous HARO links we have achieved? Like, what if we mention that we got from MSN and other websites? Does it help?
So again, not tested. We don't do it as of now because we just don't want to give them anything additional. But
Okay,
you can definitely put it into PS within this signature line just to highlight it as as a normal signature, so that they feel like it's a normal signature and you're not pushing it uh, additional. You're not doing any additional thing to prove you're as an authority guy. But that's definitely a good addition and should be given a try.
yeah, fantastic insights. Like, guys who are watching here, uh, if you are about to start for HARO campaigns, I'm like, Boni Bhai and his team have been doing like since last 4 years, and you have all the data points and learnings. So maybe you don't have to go and experiment a lot of stuff. You can get started and you can get your first links maybe starting from 3 months or 6 months. So it's not that difficult. Like you
Yeah,
have a lot of learnings in front of you.
yeah. And this is a lifetime activity. It's not going anywhere. So that's the best part.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the step 3. So that's how we complete this third section. The steps to get started and how to respond to the pitches. The fourth part is reporting and tracking template. So this is very important. A lot of people respond to pitches, but they don't then measure the performance and what happens to those pitches. So this is where the real value comes in for you if you start doing it. So you've got to invest your effort. So this is the exact tracking template that we use internally. And so what this includes, so basically whenever we respond to a HARO query, it includes the date when we responded, the outlet for which we responded, what was the DR of that particular website. So we use DR and the traffic to qualify if we want to pitch to that media outlet. So if there is an anonymous query, if there is a media outlet which has a lower DR, which we don't want to invest our time, we don't do it. Right? So that's where it's helped. We mentioned the deadline. We mentioned the question what we are responding to. The document is basically a Google Doc where we have written the pitch, right? So, and then who has written that particular pitch, what was the status, and the live link. If you see in the live link section, even for the rejected pitches, we have mentioned the link. And the reason that we do that is we try to understand what was in our pitch and what was in the pitch of the competitors that got selected, and try to understand like what the journalist was actually looking for, and probably when we respond next time, we're going to keep that thing in our mind. Like maybe we're going to tweak it to like this or something. So rejected pitches are your best source for learning. So they are not your source for feeling demotivated. They are a source to understand uh, how you can perform better. So it's very important to track those things. So there's a very high level template that we use. Again, you guys can access it on this particular BT link.
This is insanely useful tracking template. Like guys, I have had hands on it yesterday, and you guys should not miss it. Like if you guys are still watching it and finding value out of it, just type HARO OP in the chat, so we know that you guys are active and listening and getting all the value.
Yeah. And so there are two parts of the whole tracking thing. This is the reporting thing. So this is for our internal use. This is not useful for client. This is useful for client. When we do it for client, it's important for them to know like how much was the conversion rate and how fair did we did a particular month, right? So this is what we use to discuss and communicate to clients. If you see on every month, we have mentioned the number of pitches that we did, how many pitches got approved, how many pitches went live. So this is the black box of HARO. Uh, like when we started doing this activity, we thought almost all the queries go live. Like it never comes to our mind that, oh boy, some of these queries won't go live as well. So when we initially started reporting to client, we were just reporting, X number of pitches we did, 4 got approved, rest got rejected, right? So there was a huge missing element in that reporting, which we discovered that a lot of queries also don't go live. And then there are also a lot of queries where you don't get an expert code. So they mention, they write an article, journalists go live with an article, but they don't mention any of the experts code. So maybe they didn't like the quote of anyone, and hence they just made it live. So like this basically covers everything in what the activity that you did. And the pitch not live is something that's going to help you rightly measure the conversion rate of your pitches, right? Because if you don't count it into the whole conversion, that your conversion rate anyway will be super down. So super important to track the pitch not live and the rejected pitches, since that's going to give you the real picture. So now the last part, setting the right expectations and the resources. This is where I'm going to get you guys down to the real picture. Like this is what you can expect. So the approximate average conversion rate, as we mentioned, is between 10% to 20%. So if you're doing like 10 pitches, you can expect 1 to 2 approved pitch and the link from that. On a very higher side, as I said, certain niches like home improvement, we have seen like near to 40% conversion rate. Maybe because there aren't a lot of people responding to the HARO pitches. Maybe because the journalists won't have a lot of options to quote people, and hence they're okay with whatever it's getting it, and they're accepting it. For industries like us, SEO, digital marketing, tons of marketers right now are pitching it, and hence they have a lot of options, and hence the conversion rates are down. So that's what you can expect. Aim for consistency. This is a long-term activity, and do not get demotivated if you don't get links, right? So HARO by default is going to show you links after 1 to 1.5 months. So let's look at a real example. You do a pitch today, it goes to a journalist today, but there's a deadline, right? So journalist is anyway going to wait for say 2 days before all the pitch comes in. Then let's say journalist is going to review that pitch for next 1 or 2 days, depends on what the deadline is. but let's say they're going to take 1 to 2 days, and then they need to also add your quote in the article that they're writing. So either they are looking for quotes that can be directly fitted in the article, or either they have to write article based on your quotes. So if it's the case where they have to write an article based on your quotes, it's again going to take say additional 1 week or something, and then that article gets queued for the editor. So remember, we're talking about big publications. So the article goes through a thorough check. So that it goes to the editor, and then the editor approves it, and then it goes to the publishing queue. So we have observed that it takes anywhere between a minimum of 1 month to go this articles go live. So you need that patience for doing this activity, because the upside is huge, right? So you gotta wait for first 1.5 months. Plus, after waiting those 1.5 months, if you don't get links, don't get demotivated. Do it for a committed time of 3 months at least. Let's say, so if you're starting it, just commit yourself that I'm going to do it for 3 months anyway. I'm okay for not having any links. If you do that with that focus, then there is a better chance that you'll have a better outcome or result from this whole activity. And the last thing is review the rejected pitches and improvise. That's the only where you can understand what went wrong and how to improve your next pitches. We also do one more thing. We also reach out to journalists. So occasionally when we think our pitch was equally good and it's not accepted, we reach out to journalists and ask them that, hey, we did this pitch, and uh, we just wanted to know, like, what was the reason that you didn't like my pitch or anything. So even those answers, they occasionally respond. So not all the journalists are going to respond, but let's say you do 5 such emails to journalists, 2 or 3 are going to respond to you back with some reason like why they think it was not good. So that's also going to help you understand and improvise your pitch for the next time. So continuing with setting the right expectations, I also want to tell you the missing part of the whole HARO thing. Like, so when we analyzed this whole 2,500 HARO queries, we found that only 35% of the queries gets published. Right. So what are the email that you get every day in your HARO email? Not all of those queries gets published. So the number is like 3 in every 10 queries gets published. So that brings out a lot of the conversion rate in general. What are the categories that receives the highest number of queries? So general and business category receives the highest number of queries in general, and what's included within these categories is general includes gift, home decor, DIY, books, schools and colleges. Business and finance includes a lot of interesting niches, common accounting, investment, online marketing, so entrepreneurship, HR, business ideas, and then the separate category. So if you fall into any of these categories, you're going to get a lot of queries. But if you fall into a category, say energy, so you're applying this into, let's say, some uh, electricity niche or green energy stuff, you may not get a lot of queries. So HARO then may not be the right activity for you. So yeah, so with this, you get an understanding, is HARO the right activity for your client or for yourself? Because if you don't get a lot of query, you're not going to respond to a lot of them, and hence anyway you're not going to reach to that conversion rate, the number of links that you need to get. uh, Another interesting insight that we got after reviewing 2500 queries was that 56% of the articles had a do follow link, and 18% had published the article where they didn't mention the quotes. 11% just mentioned the names, and then 13% of the links were no follow. So this is another, could be a demotivating, or I can say thing just to keep in mind when you're communicating with your client. If you're doing it, that hey, there is a higher chance that you're going to get a do follow link, but there could be also a case where we may end up having a no follow link or just mention in the list. So remember, this is a generalized study of 2500 queries. For us, if you look at the pitches that we did, 80% of them had a do follow link. Probably 20% of them, 10% of them would have given us a no follow link, and 10% probably in the just the mentioned list. So it varies industry by industry. So don't take a judgment call just by looking at this data. If it's right for you, give it a shot, do it for 3 months, and then take a call. Just the resources, just mention a few resources that I find useful. So two of our own resources, and then even the bus train one. So yeah, that ends up my session for today.
Fantastic. So this was insanely valuable session on HARO. Uh, Earning links for free from websites having DATR more than 80, in couple of cases more than 90, having traffic in millions. So those who are into SEO and are looking for links from guest posts or maybe paying to some other vendors out there. So according to Google's guideline, it's like going against Google's guidelines. So why not opt for HARO and get links for free? And it's super valuable. So I would like to thank Boni thank you very much for your presentation, and very well simply put. It's already up on slide share, so you guys can go up and check it out there. And I think so. Before we move to questions, uh, my my candid question to Boni is like, during this particular deck, I saw a lot of productivity hacks, like you save your time and you are very well data driven. You're touching each and every data points. So I have known you from last 4 or 5 years, and you are an avid reader. So would you recommend any digital marketing guys here, like any books for productivity hacks or like management stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so it comes from a lot of different articles, but one of my favorite book uh, is actually 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. And it has a one section, which is section 4, chapter 4. It's on productivity. It is of just 15 pages. That itself was a very basic foundation for me on productivity. He puts it very nicely and very straightforward on how to think on the productivity aspect. But and then of course there are the books like Scaling Up for being very process oriented for the growing an agency and stuff like that. But yeah, my personal favorite is still Tim Ferriss' productivity section in the 4 Hour Work Week. I just love it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing it here with the audience as well. So we have a lot of questions, and let's get started with the questions.
So,
Yeah. So the very first question is from Jatin Chabra. He asks, "What's the conversion for travel industry, especially Indian tourism industry, and what type of team Mr. Boni have set up to perform better on HARO?"
fantastic question. Again, loved it. So the you got to set that team right, and I can say that as an agency, since we're doing it for different clients, uh, we have one person who just does HARO. That's it. So uh, it's a dedicated role, and that person just does HARO because for any activity that you do, you got to specialize for that. So when just one person does HARO, they eventually understand a lot of nitty gritties about it. They eventually understand what sort of pitches gets published or what sort of pitches gets rejected. So that's how you got to set up your team. You eventually want to have just one person doing it for and managing for rest of the clients. And in terms of conversion rates for the travel niches, uh, unfortunately, we haven't done much for that space in general. But it doesn't matter if from India or from rest of the countries. It's just that the journalists just should think that your code is pretty useful, and they would anyway link out to you. So just a heads up on one thing. Like we're doing HARO for some of the clients which are into, let's say, a casino space, and we're still getting links. So uh, it's important that your codes are amazing. The rest should be taken care by the journalist.
Okay. So a follow-up question to your answer, like, does your teammate, is he or she a content writer, or you get your content written from an external source?
So that's an in-house person. That since one, it's a deadline sort of a task. You can send it to someone and then wait for the feedback. And yes, he or she is someone who is primarily a content writer. So initially we didn't had someone who was a content writer, but they had a good understanding of communication, the English part, and how to respond to the pitches and understanding the queries on a very high level. And on top of it, before responding to pitches, when you're doing it for clients, you might just want to send a few pitches for review to your clients. So there are two ways to do it. So some of you may have thought like, wow, you're just responding to the pitches on behalf of your clients. Isn't that questionable? Like client would get back to you and say, hey, why did you respond to something like that from my idea or something like that? So you got to build that trust for them. So you can send a few pitches, a sample, like, hey, these are the HARO queries, and we wrote something like this. So if they say a green signal, that yeah, you can give it a shot. So then you do it and directly respond to the clients, because you can't every time send the pitches that you written and send it to client and then wait for a feedback and approval. So you got to go with this particular arrangement. And yes, some person needs to be pretty well versed with English, and because you're going to get a query from diverse set of niches. So good business understanding and overall understanding works pretty well.
Awesome. Um, yes, let's move to the next question from Joel Diaries. Do you need to include the requirements regarding qualifications already when you submit your pitches?
Yes, so you got to have that uh, not precisely qualification, but you got to mention in your signature that you are the right person who is responding to this pitch, because they're looking for the right person uh, whom they can consider as an authority. So that's why we mentioned that you have your LinkedIn profile or at least your social media profile, so that they can do the cross verification or cross check if you are the right person. You can include one liner in the pitch that maybe at the beginning or at the stop that this is who I am and that's why you should trust me, something like that. But yeah.
Fantastic. Next question is from Vedant. One advice how to get good link for a software development company and not a SaaS company.
I would say HARO. Uh, I mean, for technology space, there are a lot of queries in HARO, and I do see a lot of people getting amazing links in general from through this one particular activity. So uh, definitely HARO, and yeah, if not HARO, then again you are then limited to a particular set of activities, like either you create a PR sort of style content, or you do guest posting, or you do resource page outreaching or skyscraper. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So here is an interesting question from Anurag Surya. He asks like, does my website's DR impact conversion rate? Does a website with an 80 DR have better chances than a 20 DR website?
So if you are a known person, uh, uh, I'm not so not talking about yet, but if you are a known website or business, then that definitely indirectly impacts or affects the mindset of the journalist, because then you don't have to build that trust and authority. They are eventually going to think, hey, this guy from X and YZ company is responding to this page, so it's anyway going to improvise the authority of the journalist article, because let's say someone from uh, Google itself is responding to a certain queries, then the journalist, it's a no-brainer for them that this is an expert who's responding, and I can definitely go ahead and quote them. So it does uh, uh, in the mindset format, but again at the end of the day, if the quote isn't nice, it doesn't fit well with what the journalist is writing, then they may still skip it. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's this doubt related question from Amrita Sahu. Should we follow up if we don't get a reply?
You can. So occasionally, so look, it's all good when you do follow-ups in a nice way. I would recommend just one follow-up, and that's it. Not like doing the follow-ups that we do in an outreaching campaigns. Just one follow-up and leave it. And also, when you send the first email, just check if they have opened it. So if they opened it and not responded, likely they just don't want to respond. But yeah, you can definitely take a follow up, because at the end of the day you want to understand what's wrong with you. So uh, it's okay to take a follow up and get a response.
Okay. Uh, awesome. So there's this very comic question, kind of like Anirban Bhattacharya asks, like, are there any alternatives to HARO?
Yes, there are. So one
Yeah,
is source bottle. So if you search source bottle in Google, you'll find it. Source bottle is
interesting.
focused on you know precisely Australia and New Zealand queries. So if you have clients who are in these regions, that's a good source to go for, because mostly all the journalists and the queries are from that. Then there is a Twitter hashtag journal request or PR request. So if you go to Twitter right now and enter that hashtag journal request, you will find journalists tweeting along with their hashtag where they are looking for some source. We haven't found journal request pretty useful because it has a very broader set of queries, so it takes a lot of time. So we just rely, and even we use source bottle, but we still come back to you know this HARO platform because it just works for us. But yeah, there's one more platform. I just forgot that name, but that's Proofnet. So Proofnet is another platform where you can get the queries. But the process, so there, if you want to become a source, you got to pay, right? So for HARO, you just sign up and start using it. For Proofnet, it's not. But Proofnet is also equally uh, powerful platform like HARO, because now, so look at Proofnet. Since it's a paid platform, you don't find a lot of sources there. So let's say in HARO, for one query, 100 people are responding. On Proofnet, it could be just like 20, 25. So the conversion rate should be higher there, right? So that's the difference. So journalists who might be looking for those sort of responses for more further legit or interested guys, so then they may use those platforms. Yeah.
Awesome. There's this next question from Joel Diaries. Would journalists usually link to my company's homepage as their source, or would they prefer to link to a bio page of their source?
Yes.
And therefore, yeah,
Yeah. Sorry.
no worries, no worries. Yeah,
Yes. So usually they would link out to your homepage. So they prefer that, and they usually also ask you that where do you want to get linked to, right? So you can just mention like this is where you can give me a credit, but we usually have seen that it's the homepage that they link out to, and they're okay linking out to the homepage. So one caveat with HARO is you don't get links to inner pages. So if we are talking about broader aspect of link building and building links for the inner pages, that's not quite possible with HARO. We're just talking about links to the homepage, and occasionally you can insert one of your blog articles link in the pitch itself because that's relevant. Other than that, the homepage is your go-to source for link. Yeah.
awesome. Next question from Amit Malvi. Is the niche-based HARO has more conversion rate than master HARO? If yes, then roughly what will be the conversion rate for niche-based HARO?
So the conversion rate, I don't think there's a difference when we talk about the niche, because journalists, they don't for them it's important the number of pitches that they get, right? That's their baseline. So even if you're in the travels niche, let's say for example, and journalists got 100 pitches for that, your conversion rate is anyway going to be lower, right? So but yeah, it could be the reverse engineering aspect. Since HARO HARO platform gets less number of queries for certain niches, there will be less number of sources as well, because on a very high level they also think that it's not a good platform to spend the time, because for an agency everything is an ROI. So they just want to spend time on the platforms where they get a lot of queries, or if that makes sense. So if you are an individual and if you are in one of those spaces, I would 100% recommend going for those queries and responding, because hey, I mean, there will be only a few people responding to those queries, and there is a high chance that you can get a conversion rate.
Yeah, I saw one question. I don't remember the name, but he or she asked that is it necessary to subscribe to the paid Hero thing, like, or
Yeah. No. So the answer is no. You just, so that's the beauty of HARO, right? You just don't have to pay anything. It's just your time investment. Just sign up as a free source, and you're good to go. Just giving you a heads up on what's the difference between the free and the paid version. The paid version basically does a little work for you. So it just sends you the queries that you are interested in. So the free version sends you all the queries, and you gotta have to do the job of identifying the right queries. The paid version says, hey, no, we gotta tell you which are the queries that's relevant for you. So and that's like $19 per month as a cost. So uh, I would 100% recommend going with the free version, and then if you and your clients are okay with that sort of thing, definitely go with the paid version. Yeah.
the next question is from Saurabh Bani. He asks, how many answers do you write in a week? Companies that do not have a dedicated member for Hero.
So a lot of things depend. Uh, One is how many queries first you're getting, right? So it depends on the niche that you have. So if you have a niche like Saurabh has mentioned, SaaS, uh, I guess SaaS receives good amount of queries, and if that's okay with. Uh, so when we do on a very high level, when we do HARO, just don't think about. It should fit in your strategy, number one, right? So HARO is just one activity to get the links, but then of course there are other activities to get the links. HARO gets you the homepage link. So if you're looking for some fantastic editorial high quality links and that's it, then you can go full in. So like you can respond to as many queries as you want in one particular week. uh, but you say, hey, I have a few high quality links, so I just don't want to go full in with HARO, just want a few links from HARO and then the rest of the links from rest of the activities, and that's how you divide your effort into HARO. But if you talk to me and then you say that, hey, we want a lot of high tier mentions from HARO, then I would go full in with responding to every query that's possible for me, given there's a budget and time allowed as a resource allocation for that particular. So there is no harm in responding to every query that you get. I've seen agencies, particularly an agency that has responded to a lot of queries and have got like almost 50 or 60 links in just 3 months. And this is real thing. So they responded to almost all the queries and it works for them. Yeah. But
Yeah,
after some time, you got to play to it, right? So HARO is not like once you get certain type of links, to an extent that same journalist is going to come back and use that platform. So then you got to, so your number of pitches eventually are going to go down once you reach a plateau, right? So because you may already responded, you may already got a link from that, so you just might not be interested in getting the link again from that same platform and stuff like that.
fantastic set of insights, Boni bhai. Like, it is super valuable. Like, I don't think so. We have any more comments, and we'll wrap it up in next couple of minutes. But I would like to thank you very, very much,
Thank you.
and thank you for your time, and thank you for all the valuable insights. So make sure you follow Boni Satani on Twitter. He'll share a lot of insights going forward because he has been doing this hero thing for last 4 years, and I'm sure he's not stopping anywhere. So make sure you follow him on Twitter at the rate Boni Satani on Twitter. You make sure you subscribe to SEMrush because SEMrush, we are here because of SEMrush. So you follow the subscribe to that button and hit that bell icon to receive all the notifications. So you get to see these amazing insights on SEMrush webinar. So thank you all who have joined today. This was the fifth webinar of India series. We are taking a pause for a couple of months. There is no sixth webinar for the next month, but if there is an update, we'll sure get back to you. Do not forget to follow me on Twitter for all the updates. It's Partsuba77, and see you guys on Monday. I host SEO Talk Twitter chats as well. So thank you all. Have a good night. And thank you, Kate, for being a kind host.